Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&As. So let's go ahead and knock this out. All right, first question. Is it possible that some people could have such poor recovery that 1 times a week frequency would be their ideal for them? Probably not. And realistically, if your recovery is that low, there's things you can do to work on recovery. So why is their recovery that bad? It's not genetics. Because we have never found, to my knowledge, people whose ideal frequency genetically was 1 time a week on a muscle group. Some people use enough gear and they just do enough volume, they can get away with it and still make optimal gains. People who are generally doing the 1 time a week frequency who aren't using anything still get slightly less gains just about no matter what they do. They still get gains. It's a little less. So what's going on? Are they not eating enough? Is it someone who isn't sleeping and they're trying to cut? Like, what's going on? Do they have cancer? I mean, are we talking about a healthy person? If you have someone who, is sleep deprived and trying to be in a calorie deficit, they're going to shed muscle tissue anyways. There is no optimal frequency at that point. They're shedding muscle tissue nonstop. There's not even, shouldn't even be worried about optimal recovery at that point, especially training frequency. Is this a really ill person? Do they have cancer? Which that's relevant, because I tell people the data shows that people who lift weights while they have cancer have double the survival rate if they're going through chemo and stuff. There's data on that. But outside of that, no, probably not. And here's what I would say. The problem we have is that people get into a mindset that tells them they should do that. So then what do? Well, I'm only training once a week, and I come in and do a bunch of volume for that one muscle, my legs, for example. This is where the leg day meme comes from. Training your legs once a week is stupid. It's going to give you a weaker squat, less muscle growth in your legs, and you're going to be sore all the time because you're taking too long between your sessions, and you're probably doing too much volume in one session. Low frequency causes more soreness, and it causes it to last longer. So people start doing that. Well, it seems to take my legs a whole week to recover because they're sore for 5 days. No, it's because you only train them once a week. That's why. Should probably be training upper lower 4 days a week like good lifters and athletes usually do as a baseline, right? But people get into this mindset because of that. And maybe your frequency is not the recovery issue. Maybe your volume is too high. Maybe your total training volume per session is too high, and it seems to take you forever to recover. Maybe your diet is bad. Maybe you have nutritional deficiencies. Maybe you're not getting enough protein. Maybe you're not getting enough carbs. Maybe you're not sleeping enough. The frequency may not be the issue at all. In some cases, the frequency, like I said with the DOMs, like on a leg day, could be the issue. I'm not getting DOMs right now, and you guys see what my 2 leg days look like. Look at the amount of squat volume and stuff and everything else I do. I'm not getting DOMs the next day. I have it dialed in. But if I only did squats or legs once a week, I probably would be getting DOMs. Even if my workouts were the same size they are now, so I did half the weekly volume, probably be getting sore. Figure out what's going on. All right, next question. Do you think most people underestimate their natural potential? Yes. Yes, I do. Additionally, do you think a 25 on a fat-free mass index is a legitimate number for the natural limit? No, I don't think it's a legitimate number for the natural limit. I think it is the genetic limit for the natural limit for freaks. Let me state that again. When we're talking about being reasonably lean, okay, we're not talking about people who are 25% body fat. We've discussed this in the past as to why that is not applicable to the fat-free mass index. Right? Someone who's 25% body fat will lose 10 pounds of lean tissue on their cut down to 12%. So, they might have a 27, okay, and they end up cutting down to 24 and still seem to hold the same amount of strength. So like, I kept all my lean tissue. No, you didn't. That's why even DEXA scanning people who are at much higher body fats, that's going to skew the fat-free mass index. When you're under 20% body fat, hitting a 25 without freak genetics means you're on the fatter end, and you're going to get under that when you get lower. So when I say that it's for people with freak genetics, that means it's not you. And all the people out there who claim that I'm wrong, these coaches and experts, they don't have any drug-free lifters doing it. They aren't doing it. Look at some of these people who argue against this. Well, I don't think it's right. And they have a 22 fat-free mass index. And they're a coach and they've been training 20 years, 15 years. Yeah, well, why can't you reach a 25 then? And in fact, one of the leading proponents who argued against this has done steroids in the past. And he can't even get past 23. He can't even get past 23. I know, out of all my friends, out of guys who swear to me up and down that they are legitimately natural, I know one guy who's gotten close to 25 when he's lean. And I'm talking, 12% or lower body fat. I know one guy. And he is such a genetic freak, because he was also friends with Louis Marco. Louis Marco said about this guy like 7 years ago, that the guy has freak genetics. Freak genetics. Earned his first Natty Pro card like 15 years ago, and then he's gotten bigger since. Deadlifts like 640. He can high bar squat like Olympic squat 550, and I've seen him do 8 reps for 315 on a bench press. His fat-free mass index, we had calculated it at 24.8. 24.8 when he's lean and cut. He has freak genetics, and he's been training since he was like 14. And he's only reaching numbers like that in his late 30s. He's now over 40 and maintaining it. Freak genetics. Honestly, for most guys, 24 to 24 and a half might be your lifetime drug-free limit. Now, for a lot of guys, that means they're going to have 15 pounds more muscle than they estimate. The problem is people look at the fat-free mass index and they don't apply it when they're taller. The guys who mess it up are tall guys. Guys who are over 6 foot, they start saying, well, I don't think I should be over this weight. And I'm like, your fat-free mass index is going to be like 21 at that weight. You need to put on another 30 pounds, 40 pounds. Maybe you need to bulk 50 and then cut 20, right? Tall guys mess it up. But it's perfectly valid, and it's a good benchmark to aim for. And I would say that's what most people need to be plugging in. Be realistic with yourself about your body fat. Go get a DEXA scan. Don't try to talk about your fat-free mass index without a DEXA scan. Don't estimate your body fat. Go find out. And you need to be looking at stuff like, okay, well, maybe at 10 to 12%, 13% body fat, I should aim for 24 as a good starting point. And then maybe over the course of the next several years, get it up to 24 and a half. That's perfectly reasonable. But when you start hearing guys think they're going to get to 27 or something, 28, you're not going to do that even as a genetic freak. You will have to be on stuff to do that. Okay? And that's the reality. But for a lot of guys that they think is their natural limit, really is something like a 22 fat-free mass index. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.